You have been strong for too long, holding it all together. For your family, for your role, for your identity. But then comes a moment when your hands tremble, your heart sinks, and you don't know who you are anymore. This is not weakness. This is where the Bhagavad Gita begins. Not in battle, but in breakdown. Not in clarity, but in collapse. This is Arjuna Vishada Yoga, chapter 1 of the Bhagavad Gita. And it holds a mirror, not just to a warrior on a battlefield, but to you, to the inner war you hide in your daily life. But before we step onto the battlefield, you must know how this story is being told. The entire Bhagavad Gita is not narrated by Arjun or Krishna. It is narrated by Sanjay, a gifted seer in the palace of Hastinapur. He is describing the scene to the blind king Dhritarashtra, who anxiously waits to hear what is unfolding in Kurukshetra.
Tell me, Sanjay, what did my sons and the sons of Pandu do when they assembled on the field of Dharma?
That question, full of fear, ego, and fate, sets the stage. And Sanjay begins to paint a moment that would change time itself. As the sun rose over Kurukshetra, the conches echoed through the cold morning air. King Duryodhan stepped forward. His eyes scanned the Pandav army, row after row of disciplined warriors, gleaming weapons, and unwavering faces. Beneath his confident gait was a flicker of unease. The army before him wasn't just well equipped, it was smartly arranged. And at its helm was Drishtadyumna, the son of Drupad, strategist, commander, and the one fated to kill Dronacharya. Duryodhan walks straight to Drona, not out of respect, but to plant a seed.
Look at their formation, Acharya. It has been arranged by your own student, the son of your sworn enemy.
There was venom in his courtesy. He reminded Drona of his past with Drupad, of humiliation, rivalry, and the strange twist of fate where the one meant to kill him, Drishtadyumna, had learnt warfare from Drona himself. Duryodhan wasn't just assessing the battlefield, he was sharpening his generals. He listed Pandav warriors aloud: Satyaki, King Virat, mighty Drupad, and more.
Don't underestimate them. Each one wields a bow like Bhim or Arjun.
It wasn't just a report. It was a strategy. He was provoking Dronacharya, not just to fight, but to fight without mercy, even against those he once trained with affection. And when Drona did not respond, Duryodhan changed his tone.
And on our side are warriors no less powerful, yourself, Karn, Kripa, Ashwathama, Vikarn, and King Bhurishrava.
He praised their strength. He compared Bhishma's protection to a fortress, calling their army immeasurable in power. And yet, he could not hide that nervous edge in his voice. Because deep down, Duryodhan knew the Pandav had Krishna. And just then, Bhishma, the guardian of the Kuru dynasty, ancient and unshaken, raised his conch shell. With a roar like a lion, he blew it, marking the beginning of war. At Kurukshetra, two armies stand on the edge of war. The Pandav on one side, the Kaurav on the other. Elephants trumpet, horses snort, flags flutter, weapons shine. And in that charged silence, conch shells echo. It's not just a call to battle. It's a call to fate. In the center of this chaos is Arjun, Pandav prince, the unmatched archer. He's not just any warrior. He's the hope of Dharma, the one everyone believes in. And beside him stands Krishna, not yet speaking as a divine teacher, but simply as his charioteer, his friend. Arjun asks calmly,
Place my chariot between the two armies, Krishna. I want to see whom I must fight.
It seems like a simple request, but what Arjun sees next breaks him. He sees Bhishma, the grandsire who once rocked him to sleep. He sees Dronacharya, his guru, the man who taught him everything. He sees cousins and friends who played and laughed with him. And now they stand before him as enemies. And in that instant, the warrior crumbles. His mouth dries, his hands shake, his Gandiv bow slips from his grip. His legs grow weak, his chest tightens with sorrow. He turns to Krishna, not as a hero, but as a human.
I can't do this. What joy can come from killing my own? If winning this war means ruling over blood-stained victory, I want none of it. Let them kill me instead.
This is Arjuna Vishada Yoga, the yoga of despair. Not the yoga of silence or stillness, but the yoga of sacred breakdown. Because sometimes the most honest prayer is collapse. What Arjun is really facing is not a battlefield. It's an inner war between attachment and duty, between love and responsibility, between who he is and who he must become. And isn't that what we all go through? You love your family, but sometimes you must say things they don't want to hear. You care for others, but sometimes standing for truth means walking away. Arjun's despair is not weakness, it is Dharma tearing through illusion. He realizes he cannot hide behind his role anymore, not as a prince, not as a warrior, not as a brother. He must face his own self, and that is terrifying. Why is this called yoga? Yoga means union, the joining of the self with truth, and Arjuna Vishada Yoga is the beginning of that union, because union cannot happen through control. It begins when control breaks. It begins when the mind finally says, I don't know what's right anymore. In that surrender, the possibility of wisdom is born. And through it all, Krishna remains silent. He doesn't shame Arjun. He doesn't say, you're a Kshatriya, be strong. He lets Arjun speak. He lets Arjun feel. Because sometimes the divine waits for you to empty yourself before it begins to fill you. When Arjun finally breaks down completely, he says,
My mind is confused. My heart is overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. I surrender to you. Guide me.
Only then Krishna begins to speak. This is the turning point. The moment a warrior becomes a disciple. The moment pain becomes purpose. You don't have to be on a battlefield to feel this. You might be sitting at your desk, staring at a difficult task, or lying in bed, not knowing if you should let go of someone you love. You might be tired of holding it all together. You might be silently falling apart. That moment is your Arjun moment. And this chapter is not about war. It's about what happens just before we evolve. It's about that sacred space where clarity has not yet arrived, where the only truth is, I can't do this alone. The Gita doesn't begin with answers. It begins with a question. What should I do? So if you're asking that today, you're already on that path. And in the next chapter, Krishna responds. He will not give Arjun an escape. He will give him vision. The kind of vision that changes not the world, but the one who sees it. This was chapter 1, Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Next, we enter Sankhya Yoga with our second episode. Subscribe to Pause with Dharma and walk this journey one truth at a time. We hope we helped you a little. Thank you.